This is consent of the governed, and today's date, let's see, Friday, January 8th. So you and I have recorded a couple of different podcasts as of late, like 3 hours worth that are going to be uploaded later. I think I'm just going to stick this one directly on YouTube tonight when I'm done, get this thing all rendered up, pop it up. Um, but possibly tomorrow, just depends on how long it takes because YouTube's not great. Um, but this is the conversation that needs to be had. This is a conversation that needs to get out there as fast as possible. Starting to put the channel out there. Channel, by the way, is Consent of the Governed. Twitter handle is at of governed, OF governed. Um, and we're going to be putting out a lot more live stuff and doing a whole bunch of other things. I set up some infrastructure garbage today. So a lot of people are getting taken down. It's one of the things we wanted to talk about tonight. So as it's been said, best thing we could possibly do is just run the whole idea of next man up. So we're going to try and get this thing going to a point where we can start getting people who are being shut down, get their voice out there until we get shut down and just keep kind of continuing the message and hoping other people do the same. So, Tom, what do you think?
Well, on that note, I think the real what's the best word for that? The real temporal marker, as Cliff High would put it, to see where things go would be to see actually what plays out with this Parlor App Store or Apple Store business and what Google Play does, and I mean, and all. I mean, man, if you can't see that the, somebody's worried about something because they're just shutting shit down left and right. They're trying to impeach, or they're going to impeach the president. They wanted him out of there today. And all of a sudden, I don't think it's any coincidence that you see everybody from General Flynn, Sidney Powell to Code Monkey Z, across the board, Praying Medic, you know, all their accounts were suspended on Twitter. Now with this Parlor Apple Store deal, dude, shit's going on behind the scenes. And tell you the truth, I really don't know what, but the only thing I do know is they're obviously trying to suppress any kind of information out there.
I can speculate as to what they're doing because it's an age old adage. Um, if you want to know who's in charge, find out how you can't, or who you can't criticize,
Criticize.
right? I think I said it on one of the other streams. Who knows?
Mhm.
We always have a beer while we're doing this. So,
Or a couple. Or a
or
couple or a cat.
a couple five. So or a cab. um, so the again the idea of that, flip that a little bit on its head and say, if you want to find where the truth comes from, find out who can't speak anymore.
Yeah.
At least in America, and it used to not be that way because we used to follow some semblance of the original Constitution. So I did just post a couple of different things on Twitter, including link to the at handle for consent of the governed, and one of the hashtags I put on there was First Amendment Jack, which, in my opinion, got to get the hashtag First Amendment Jack going
Mhm.
because this is something that is absolutely asinine. There should be not only parlors and everything else out there. There should be no monopoly on the town square, right? There should be no monopoly on the town crier. These things were put into place. I know that's why Trump was going after the whole 230 thing and wanting it to be completely, um, completely just thrown out.
Yeah, obliterated. I mean, like I said, if you can't see the censorship now, uh, we can try to really push on those mainstream uh, narrative platforms, but I really don't think that we're gonna get a whole lot of success, especially with what they're doing right now, and
Right.
especially too if you were, paying attention to any one of the hashtags. One of them, for example, was hashtag WWG1WGA.
Mm-hmm.
They
You
threw
put
out
that
there,
on, you're done.
and man, when I saw that this last summer,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of traffic that was getting, the amount of people that were posting. I mean, we were talking like 300 and some odd thousand people like a
Right.
minute. I mean, it was just blowing up, or
Yep.
an hour or whatever it is. And
One of those
oh
units of
yeah,
measure.
minute, an hour, it's all the
Fuck,
fucking same.
what's the difference? Especially if you're in crypto, it's all
Yeah, yeah, it's all the
one
same. A
year.
minute, an hour, a year, 4 years.
Yeah, 1 year equals 10,
Yeah.
whatever. Mm.
But to see that suppression firsthand was really kind of the kicker. It was really the convincing you know proof that I needed that, oh man, they are really, really suppressing the hell out of anybody that wants to say anything
It's
against the narrative.
Yeah, and it's really weird. And Corey from Corey's Digs, she's been posting a lot. Like, I'm probably gone. Tracy Beans is like, yep,
Tracy Beans
odds.
is already gone.
I just saw her. She gone already. She got
Yeah,
blocked.
I
She done.
just saw something pop up where Beans is gone. I
What
mean,
the
dude, like
balls?
I was watching it happen like that too today. I was like, are
Bing,
you
bing, bing,
shitting
bing.
me?
The
I mean,
Purge.
and they're not even like even in the sake of like Flynn's Twitter page,
Yep,
he wasn't even posting. He didn't post anything.
yep.
Like he posted something like 7 hours prior, and they're just like, nope, gone.
Digital book burning.
Yes,
That's where we've.
exactly, man.
That's where we got to. The
I mean,
weird thing.
if it
Yeah.
didn't scare anybody, then why in the hell would they try to suppress it?
Hmm. Hmm.
If this wasn't a threat, who in the hell gives a damn?
Well, that should. I mean, it should obviously encourage people, especially right now at a time like this, if they're all about like Trump and government and everything else. Again, not a Trump supporter, but look at who's getting silenced. Look at who's causing the most damage. Look at who's doing all of this stuff. And you got to understand that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? And this guy's taking flack like crazy. Everybody who's associated with him is taking flack like crazy. Anybody who openly expresses the opinion that he's, expressing is just gone and they take the flack
Well,
and
look
you're
at that.
watching it. But what I'm saying is that look at the what are like you said, what are they so fucking afraid of? What are they afraid of? If it's so easily refuted, is it
Yeah.
because they're so it's either it's one of two things they're afraid of. They're afraid of all of this, in their words, fake garbage, right? These lies and everything else that Trump is spewing and people who love freedom are spewing. They're so afraid of that gaining steam and momentum, they have to block things down. Like that's the logic gate, right? That's a logic statement. If they're doing that, then they're going to block them. What does that say to people like you and I who want to get some of this information, want to disseminate that information, want to make the decision ourselves of what to block and what not to in our own frickin' brain?
Hmm.
And then now all of a sudden the town square is not shut down. So me, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or if it's Hillary Clinton. Do not shut them up. You let them talk as much as humanly possible, because it's up to me and it's up to my discernment and my freedom to be able to say, hey, I like that or I don't. And then it's up to me to go ahead and do the research. And I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of this society is the lack of time to do the research because of the social engineering that's got us here, and B, the obviously the bread and games and stuff. But that's
Well,
a that's
it's also the I mean, let's face it. Social media has really, I mean, the the creation of social media and the design of the websites and design of websites in general
mm,
has really
mm,
programmed the brains of the majority of people. I would say
mm,
myself as well, man. I am
yeah,
totally guilty of it.
yes,
I'm totally guilty of scrolling. I am totally guilty of
yeah,
overstimulation, of looking at a headline and just bypassing. I just read the cliff notes, man. Well, the cliff notes don't fucking exist. You have to spend time reading and researching, going through these articles with a fine tooth comb, whatever it may be related to, whether it's the pandemic stuff for the
yeah,
presidential stuff, the 17 stuff, whatever it may be. You really have to go through, and if you don't understand a particular worm or word or terminology that they're using in those stories, you need to pause, look it up, figure out what they're talking about, and then come back in and keep reading and read that article again. Read it two
yeah,
or three times.
yep. And that's something that a lot of people are obviously not going to do. I've been guilty of it myself. You read the headline and blah blah blah. And I think it was the first time I posted something where somebody was like, "Yo, dude, like read that," and all of a sudden I was like, "Ooh, never doing that again." you know.
Mhm.
So if I'm going to post something, I'm going to read it. That it's probably still there because again, I don't delete my tweets unless there's a like heinous freaking misspelling or a bunch of garbage because I don't use spell check. Nothing. I try and do all that myself, right? So same conversation. You were just talking about doing all of those things. I don't use spell check on purpose, so I learn my vocabulary a little bit better, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not using it as a crutch. I hear people talking about, before cell phones, they used to have everybody's phone number memorized, and that's such a good exercise. I don't do that. Like, so in that way, we could talk about social engineering and how they're engineering the brain out of humans utilizing smart technology, right?
Oh,
And
totally, totally. But
yeah,
this is, and what they're doing with, this, how the websites, news sites, pretty much everything
mhm,
is designed in this day and age. Your brain
mhm,
just scans through a headline and thinks it understands it. I find myself not knowing, having a hard time discerning between fact and fiction of just the shit I look up. I have to stop
right.
myself sometimes and go like, okay, don't put that in your brain, in the back of your brain, unless you can verify that with particular other
Right.
outlets on the web, because there is truth out there on the web. There,
24-hour rule,
you know.
24-hour rule. Um, just this last, couple days, this dude dressed up like a fucking buffalo.
Well, everybody all of a
Don't
sudden,
know
everybody
whether he's
jumped
good or
down his
bad. Right.
throat, and they were just like, "Well, this guy's total Antifa," and I was like, so I dug around, dug him up, and saw an interview with, I think he was in Arizona,
Yeah, he lives in
uh,
Arizona.
at a rally, and actually he was, you know, I mean, he could be a turncoat or a spy, but I think in this case, uh, in this case, what he said definitely went along with the whole movement. Um,
But then
but
you
yeah,
find out he's
but
he's quite possibly married to Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
no, no, well, no, you see all this other shit.
It's like,
Like
what the fuck? What
there's
what
a
do you
lot
believe,
of shit
right?
out there, and
Yeah.
especially on Parlor, there's a lot of shit. Like I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time on Parlor, blocking all the titty ads and everything else, and reporting them, just because it drives me insane. It's like I'm here to look at something that's somewhat credible from a somewhat credible source, and you
Mhm.
see a lot of shit out there, and
Yeah.
that was part of the problem with with the WWG1WGA hashtag in Twitter,
Mhm.
is people and everybody would believe it. They'd look at the
Right.
headline, they'd see it, and oh, this guy's a bad guy, or this is bullshit. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa, 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 dig in, do your own research, and figure it out for yourself. I think
Right.
this is the part of the reason why I continually go look at Cliff High stuff, because I understand like how he words his shit.
Well, so
So
that's a
it's easier for me
you
to
make a
look
very
through.
dude, you are crushing that idea right there. And I'm sorry I got in front of you on it. I just got really excited because it's all about this idea of assigning authority, right? So I was always taught to question authority, including
Mhm,
my own authorities. Recently, I just found out that that's a philosophy, right? So if I assign an authority, whether sources, right? Sauce. Um, I am assigning authority of information. I'm giving a level of trust of that information over to somebody, right? Whether it's Tracy Beans or Hillary Clinton, I am assigning that authority to somebody. They're doing my research for me. I am trusting their words, right?
mhm,
And in my opinion, the second they fuck up and they do not apologize for it and come at, the situation in what I would deem a respectable level or a respectable way, I am immediately turned off and I'll just kind of wander away, right? It's something I implant in the back of my head, and I'm just like, man, well, that could happen again. And if they don't apologize again, but I'm not going to go there, and I'm definitely not going to use them as a source, right? So there's a level of accountability, even with us doing this, having a drink and all that stuff, to where I love transparency and a lack of choke points in power or information, because information is power. And what we're seeing is this again. I got to use the damn word. I can call it duality, I guess, for
mhm.
or duplicity, but it's bifurcation. It's this fork that's happening in
Kind of sounds like
information.
barfurcation.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
in here,
So
mister. This is a Mercedes.
don't do it. So it's we're seeing this, oh, I'm not going to open that source because A, I don't trust that source, and B, who knows what malware is on there, you
Yeah.
know? So now we have things again, HTTPS, secure, right? On the IPv4 protocol. So we're giving everything over to Google
Actually,
basically.
it's DNS. It's
Well, yeah, yeah,
IPv4
I'm sorry. I'm
IPv4.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. The what but again, you have the DNS, right? What server it is and a trusted
Running through a
source,
secure server. No, I was
a,
actually I've
a
been
secure server, right? And you have
I've
things like
been
Nexus where they're building complete new infrastructures in encrypted manners to get rid of the idea of trusted sources because you always have this coagulation of power and choke point, right? You always have this thing where, if it's not Amazon Web Service taking up 80% of all traffic server wise in America, it's going to be somebody else, right? And we love that because we're free market. We want to see somebody succeed, but we also, because we love the free market, want to see other things thrive. And I think what steps in the way of that is government, not to change the subject, but government litigation and lobbying immediately takes the free market, the actual free market, out of the equation. So when I can litigate my competition out of the running, especially like look at the car market, right? The safety manufacturing that goes on in a car market. I know my cousin's in the safety manufacturing, portion of the car market. It's you can start like think about starting a freaking automobile company right now, like out of your garage. Ain't gonna happen. Like your seatbelt
forget
will
about it.
automatically fail. It's gonna cost 40 grand for you just to get a license on your seatbelt, let alone your airbags, all the other things.
Shit, you
It,
can't even ship seat belts, I don't believe.
ooh,
Or it costs you a butt ton of money because the
and
device that's in there that
it blows up.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, I used to work for Johnson Controls, putting those seat belts. This is back before I even met you. Putting those seat belts into Ford Rangers.
Hmm.
No lie. So I probably put a seat belt into your dad's Ford Ranger, the one he used to have
Really?
that he sold to Nate. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the same. It was the same year. Yeah,
Oh god.
yeah, yeah.
White Ford Ranger, two-wheel drive, baby.
No, you just doxed your dad. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
They only sold like 4 million of them.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
mean that
every
whole thing.
single, like, city organization, city company, worker out there
Yeah, White Ford Ranger.
drove one of those things, yeah.
I
"I'm
still,
here to
yeah.
buy a fleet of Ford Rangers, baby, two-wheel drive."
The inspector in one of the towns that I work in quite a bit. That's what he drives. The same year, everything. White Ford Ranger, badge on the side. Anyway, that we digressed really quickly, but I think I think that was a little bit of an educative idea or an educated. Sure. Anyway, moving on. I think it exemplifies what we were discussing regarding Twitter, Parlor, and all of those things, and the choke point of power that should never be met. I mean,
Well,
Section
especially
230. I don't believe Section 230 should be completely stricken as of right now, according to my current understanding. Anybody out there can feel free to comment on this and hit me on Twitter and tell me I'm an idiot. But no, as far as I'm concerned, there are protections in Section 230 that really do matter. That if it was completely stricken, yes, it could be completely stricken. And me being a voluntarist, I don't believe anybody should be writing any litigation whatsoever.
well, that's the thing, there has to be
But
some protection for the, platform creators.
mm,
They're not liable for this
no,
shit, you know?
no, 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 no.
Because if somebody posts something that on their like if somebody went out in Parlor right now and posted, "Hey man, go out there and do some really nasty shit," I don't believe that Parlor should be held accountable for that dumbass
Well,
posting.
well, right, and
And there
that's the
are
thing is,
boards for going, crazy, and there's everything
dude.
other than, meta
But
tag Google shit so you can go look on the dark web as well. But I
and
mean,
this is actually a lot easier than a lot of people make this out to be, right? So
what
like
the dark web?
no, 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 no. I'm talking about the protections, right?
Oh,
So protections require attack, right? So for you to define what needs to be protected, you have to define the attacker and what the attack is, right? It's really, really fucking simple, like ridiculously simple. So what would the attack be? Mostly attorneys, right? And I'm not changing. We change an or saying we change an entire paradigm overnight. and just get rid of attorneys. That'd be awesome, in my opinion. But it's probably not going to happen. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. So you have to have certain protections, and that's the reason why this country was founded the way it was.
No, but that's what I
Was
was saying. Like certain protections to the platform creators. It's like the whole what was it? The FCC clamping down on top of on rock albums, saying that they were convincing. This is when Tipper Gore was all up in arms about this shit, and D.
oh,
Schneider and John
dude,
Denver and everybody put them into their
yeah,
place.
yeah. What
But
the
this
hell?
this is the
It
same
wasn't the
kind of
SEC. It was
no the F
the FEC,
the
uh,
I don't know whatever the hell it is,
Federal
whatever.
Communication,
Yeah, the
FCC,
FCC, the
FCC.
FCC.
Yeah, what did she
So
create? Tipper Gore. She created the.
man, my camera just keeps doing this
It
stupid fucking
does.
autofocus. This is pissing me off. Hold on.
Well, it wouldn't be this show without a little bit of complication. Shut
Yeah,
up. You're fine. You'll be all right.
hold on. There we go.
It's
My
the.
hair's all messed up there.
No, it's your sweater.
Hey,
Dude, what the
it's
hell is that thing?
cold. It's cold in my basement, and my mother-in-law
Oh.
buys me sweaters. Oh, look at that. See, what is this?
Well, tell her I said hi, by the way. I haven't seen her in a while. I think you're too close. You're too close, man. You're too close.
You're too close, man.
Mm.
That's
Dylan.
better. Um,
Um,
no,
yeah.
but it's the same idea there, where all of a sudden it's like now you're blaming the artists for what these kids are doing when they're listening to music. It's the same thing with this.
Yep.
You're gonna blame the platform creators because of what this guy said that made this guy do this. Like it isn't their responsibility.
Dude, and this.
Their responsibility is not your personal responsibility. They don't have to worry about what you do. If you're
No.
fucking nuts, you're fucking nuts.
And
That's it.
I think that's the hardest thing about the internet, I think. And to be honest with you, we are evolving into the internet age, right? We're evolving into you can call it the silicon age, whatever you want to call it, but we're going to evolve into this age because we've created a new state. The new state is the digital state, right? Where all your digital information is stored, whether it's encrypted or not, depends on you. And you have this level of responsibility in this new Wild West. Um, I don't think that right now, as of now, protections, as they're called, air quotes, um, protections include silencing one person that is saying something pertaining to either an opinion of freedom and liberty, and then leaving on something that's damn near child porn or murders. Like that's honestly
Well,
that's an objective call, right?
well, dude,
um
and that's why it's just so blatantly obvious to me, somebody who's paying attention to it, to you and
right,
I, when I was talking to one of my buds the other day about this, and it was it was like, well, they only censor stuff that's completely misleading. I'm like,
mhm.
you haven't been paying attention.
Well,
I have been seeing this, and I've been watching massive amounts of accounts and hashtags and ideas and websites and
so
everything else purged because it doesn't fit the narrative.
well, and that's the thing is that, and I don't mean to bring it back to lawyers, right? But when the bar association and the judges that everybody whines about not getting justice from, and our two-tiered justice system, that's obvious and in place, utilizes a completely separate language to do their job aside from the language that as what would be considered the common speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go to Black's Law Dictionary, and you need an interpreter to walk in front of a judge because A, you don't know the language, and B, you're too stupid to their procedures to actually discuss anything with a judge, or at least think that you can discuss things with a judge. And I think that's the start of it, in my opinion. When you can't have an actual conversation with anybody who is of any, sort, up, down, left, right, doesn't matter if they're in the, justice or I mean, you would understand if a mechanic said, "Hey, your thermostat's out." You might understand it, you might not, right? So there is a level of vernacular that's utilized through trades. But when it comes to something like law, when it comes to something like policing, not just, you personally in your own life, but also that mechanic, we should have a common bond that is language and just be able to discuss that accordingly without intermediaries, right? We should be able to have the discussions and think about these things logically. So when you're going through section 230 and you're sitting there going like, well, I see why that's there, but I also see where they're abusing the crap out of it. I see why this guy could say, no, that's absolutely false because he's listening to that guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see the law behind it, where all of a sudden, I think it was in 2012, something like that, where Obama made basically the Ministry of Propaganda by saying that lies are now legal on national airwaves, and worked with the FCC and everything else to change the language, legitimately change the language Orwellian style, where what we saw the other day at the Capitol is an insurrection, even though the president actually came out and said, yo, you all got to leave. We love you, but you got to
You
leave.
got to be
And then
peaceful. You
they,
got to get the hell out of there. And then
and then
Twitter
they
now
left.
kicks him off.
Well, no, then they left. And so, why is, the mayor of Portland still on there? CHOP was open for 3 months.
Hey, I saw
What the hell?
I saw the destruction in Minneapolis, man.
Yeah,
I
you were
mean,
there. I remember having conversations.
give me a break.
Yeah.
So that's and this is where at what and I still see people posting on Facebook. This is the reason I want to stay away from Facebook, is because of
You're gonna
there's a
have
lot
to. You're gonna have to.
there's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You want to stay away from Facebook. I know.
no,
I know.
I'm just not dealing with it. Like, I will not promote it. I will not push
I
it.
was trying. I was trying to get you to like really just flip out,
No, I will not
or
deal with that at all.
go. Okay.
No, I'm not doing it because the people there are just. This is what I look at Facebook to use it as a gauge on where people are at.
Yeah, it's a barometer of dicks.
That's
It's
that's
a dick
pretty much
barometer.
that's pretty much the reason I have a Twitter account or anything like that.
Yes.
I look at that to kind of see, okay, where can where are we at here? I mean, yeah,
You don't think Twitter knows that, and
my
that's why they're censoring it?
oh no,
Because
but
your barometer of dicks moves.
yeah,
Now you're
no,
now
but
you're
see,
like your center line for dick barometry is
they're
all
just
jacked up.
they're like, what the
Yeah.
hell? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No, it I can live inside. I hate the new speak and the new term, but like I can live inside that echo chamber, my echo chamber if I want to, and
Silo.
and
Silo.
not see where the rest of the people are. Just think, man, this is fucking
Nazi.
right, and everybody else is wrong. Well, when you actually
Nazi.
go out there and you look,
Did you say
no,
Nazi?
no, I can see.
Oh, you said not see. I thought you said
Nazi.
Nazi.
No, I said
No,
Yahtzee.
I was like, how the hell did this get racist so fast? No, we're trying to
Nazi
we're
KKK members.
we're trying to get kicked off as fast as possible for the accreditation from the youth.
When I look at Facebook, that kind of lets me see where the rest of the people are at, not just being in my channels and whatnot. And dude, there's a lot of people really really behind the times, where they just completely dismiss every aspect of the opposition of their mindset to be complete conspiracy theorists. They're nuts. What the hell is wrong with these people? And herein
Agreed.
lies the problem of living inside of your own little echo chamber, your little newspeak echo chamber.
Your silo.
Like reaching out. I'll reach out to him later.
Mm.
Or I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Bitch, you don't know me.
No. Actually, we say it down here in the South all the time, and I get caught up in it all the time for some reason.
I appreciate you.
No, we don't say it like that. We say appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Because there's no I, there's no A, nothing, and then it's one big word with a CHA at the end. Appreciate you.
Well, out here they say I appreciate you, and they say it just like that. Probably with better punctuality.
No, enunciation.
Enunciation. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're fine.
Punctuality. You're not sorry. You're fine, you son of a bitch.
No, you should
no,
never
but
say sorry.
that drives me nuts. That absolutely, because It's like, thanks, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Right.
Like, I appreciate what you did for me. I don't appreciate you because I have no idea who you are. I mean, if we have like a long-term relationship or like even work relationships, I mean, it's, man, I really appreciate you and all that you do down here. I'll be like, thanks, man. You know, but not, it's like I'll meet somebody and I'll like hold the door for them and they'll be like, I appreciate you. And I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Oh, hey. I just not to interrupt. I
To
really
interrupt, you should
well,
say,
yes.
sorry to interrupt, but that like
No, you're right.
completely
You're right.
negates the
I'm not
sorry.
sorry to interrupt at all. I don't what?
The fuck are you doing, dude?
Dude,
You're like a
I'm sorry.
distracted millennial.
I really have to urinate, and I was looking for a little song that I could place right here in
Well,
my
why don't you just
absence,
press pause?
where it
I'll
was
go up and
like,
have a quick
where it was
choke.
like, boo, 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 doo, doo, boo, 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 boo. Like waiting music while you're in the hallway. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I could just pause it, but it wouldn't be right. Nah,
Why?
I guess we'll just pause it. How long
Just
are we
pause
even
it.
going for? What time is it? Do you even know?
4:48.
Oh wow. What are you
I
in
should,
Central
I should,
Time?
I should
No, you
eat
shouldn't.
a boomer.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Pausing. Okay, so we're continuing against my wife's best wishes.
Oh,
I just said witches. You get back.
get
Get away.
back.
Get
Get
away.
away.
Get away. So no, my wife actually supports this, just not the time I put into it while I'm doing other things. And I could prove that she actually supports it because she got me this mic for Christmas. Um, so it's mostly because now I'm a lot more quiet. But yeah, anyway, um, we were at a point where I think the restart or the continuation of this conversation has to go to something we don't normally do on this show, which would be to lay out a bunch of facts, right? At least some logic. And I think because this will be put up almost immediately, we both think it's important. But here's the drill. If you were a fan of the president, um, and you're in a downtrodden way, understand that there's a lot of factual information out there that will let you know that this is not over. And it doesn't matter if the guy gets back into the presidency. I've heard all sorts of theories of how that would happen. I've thought about those and gamed those out in my own head constantly. Tom and I both do that constantly. Do the same thing with Chris on the phone. Like, how could this happen? How can we do it? How do you make this guy president again? Because they're so afraid of what's going to happen. And understand this: you have nothing to be afraid of for a multitude of reasons. And let's lay out the logic on the reasons why you shouldn't be afraid. Number one, you have almost a third of your countrymen um, ready to go. I wouldn't say ready to go, like all of them ready to go and just straight up fight a war, but I will say they're going to support you in that. We've seen in the last 4 years this gigantic awakening and push to get people to the point where they're at. And you and I, Tom, know more than anyone else that this, awareness campaign that we had done while in a band, um, this one trumps whatever the hell we did by billions fold because we've been screaming this stuff off the rooftops for years and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, this guy gets into office and everybody, like, well, a lot of the country ends up being awake. That was huge. He showed everybody how to do things. That movement will not go away. It just
Mm-mm.
won't.
No,
Um,
it won't, man. You really do have probably close to 100 million people strong that are willing to,
yeah.
like protest or defy
Well, no,
the
no. Even if they're just sitting
look,
there
look,
learning, they're just
that's the
sitting
thing.
there learning.
Defy authority though in any way possible, and when I
Question
say
it,
any
not
way
defy
possible,
it. Question
no,
it.
question it, but also defy it. These people are willing to defy it, and when I say defy it, I mean not paying your taxes, not
You
buy
do
anything.
100 million people aren't ready to do that yet, right? But that may be part of the
They're
ploy.
they're they're getting damn close, man. At
They're
this point,
closer than I've ever seen,
I mean, shit,
and
to
that's
hear some of the
encouraging.
shit coming out of these people's mouths that I thought they were,
It's
I was like,
encouraging.
wow, you're really paying attention. You're really going down the rabbit hole, aren't you?
Yeah,
And
well, not even if you go down the rabbit hole, if you just understand that you are being stifled the first part of this, we talked about like Twitter and the press and everything else. Now let's start looking inward at your own lives and seeing, exactly, what you and I've seen for a while. A lot of people, and not to say we're, smarter than anybody else, but a lot of people are starting to grasp now. You're talking about like not paying your taxes. That's a large step. A lot of people are afraid of that force, the force of, pay the taxes or you're going to get put in a cage or shot or everything will get taken from you and we'll close down your bank accounts, right? So Bitcoin was created and all of a sudden now it's like, well, how are you going to close down that, bank
yeah,
account?
you
And
can
and
shut
they're
that
trying.
down.
Well,
Oh
yeah, but
yeah.
they're trying. So they're just going to limit, that's manufactured consent.
Well, and see, here's the beauty of the
Yeah,
crypto realm is,
yeah,
you know, right off the bat here, there's that chokehold point that we were talking about where
yeah,
where where you can kind of choke off the power, where the people
yeah.
cut that off, and that's going from fiat into the crypto realm.
Right.
Well, when
What?
people you trickle that money over there over so much time, all of a sudden, before you know it, the majority of your holdings are sitting in the crypto, and that choke point doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Or
And
all of a sudden, it just takes one law to say you can't use a currency other than the currency provided. Well, you know what's funny is a lot
yeah,
of
but
people don't seem to understand the fact that the currency that they're currently using is actually less legal than Bitcoin. The
well, and
the
and and,
the
and here's the
Federal
thing too.
Reserve note
You
is
can't stop
unconstitutional.
people. There will always be a black market. There will always be
Yeah,
an underground.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Not if we continue to go by the ways of the,
Dude,
CCP here. I mean,
but
there was
no, no, I
it will still
disagree.
exist.
I disagree
No, it
because
will still exist. It will just be more difficult. And there's
well,
but once you've moved over to the crypto realm, like, even, once you see a certain percentage of adoption, which at this point I haven't even talked about adoption, so and we're still sitting when it comes to actually percentage of adoption,
nothing.
very, very fucking low. But
Right.
so once more and more people actually adopt the idea of a cryptocurrency and whatever you decide to use in that space, they will not be able to regulate it. They can't do anything about it. And if
Mm.
somebody sees worth, and I see worth in Monero, so I'll take that Monero at this particular price for this particular good. That is still going to exist.
So we were just talking about, this idea of information and how do you mitigate this, bleeding that the establishment is undergoing over the course of the last 4 years. The bleeding of honest information coming out into the populace, this awakening, the bleeding of the control of currency, that monster that's just sitting there with a freaking liver wound, writhing in pain on the kitchen fucking floor right now. Um, and that's one of the things that I would love to have a whole conversation just about the crippling nature, not of crypto, but of a lot of the stuff that Trump has done is, print, 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 the same thing as Reagan did, print, 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 the same thing that, well, Lincoln didn't really do it. He was probably the start. But you're seeing this idea of, well, if they're going to do that, give them enough rope to hang themselves with,
Mhm.
right? And you're seeing it in now this information age where they're trying to stifle the rights of people to get the information they want. It doesn't matter if it's right or not. They want the information, they should be able to get it. Um, I should be able to utilize any currency I want. Therefore, I should be able to just do it willy nilly, but they want to stand in the way. It
Mhm.
is nothing more than power plays. We are dealing with people who are in power. And when we all
Well,
realize that doesn't matter what you believe, whether it's right or left or up and down, and doesn't really matter. When it's all said and done, the only thing that people want is freedom to be
why are
able
you
to
calling
do.
me right now? Wait, no, that's Brian.
Why is Brian calling you right now?
Hold on.
Tell him to get bent. Tell him he's live.
Brian. You could get bent. Shit, I'm
So
I'm actually just talking
you're
with
gonna take a
Sully on a
call on
live
this?
stream.
You're just
Yeah,
gonna
dude.
take a call right now.
Do you want
You're
to?
gonna,
Do you
yeah.
want to? No. Do you want to? Here, I'll call you back in just a little bit. All right.
Hey, Brian. Hi.
All right. Cool, brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye.
Brian's an
He just
important
tried.
person.
He said he just tried calling you.
He just tried calling me,
Yeah.
dude. I
Oh
don't believe it.
no, he was.
I don't believe it. But I have record. Yeah. Go
No,
ahead.
he.
What's up?
I'm sure he's looking at this situation right now, going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Because
No. So
he doesn't pay as close attention to everything as you and I. And if you
right.
and back to what we were
We
talking about, paying this close attention,
right.
um, they are there's some real look at how fast they're moving right now. Look at how fast they're moving.
So
So
you're
I think I to throw out a Tommy Tommy Boomer prediction here. You know, I think we're gonna see uh, a release of some serious information.
well.
I think
We
that's why
we
they're scared shitless. They don't. They're like, oh my god,
so that
if we
was
don't
good.
get this
Actually,
fucker out of here right now, he is gonna spill the fucking beans, and he has
that's
all the fucking proof.
that's a great segue into the next point. The next point is if 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 they've won the office and the inauguration on the 20th, why are they trying to get Trump out now? Why are they trying to utilize the 25th Amendment? They
Well, yeah,
wouldn't.
now they're trying to
Give
say
him
it's nuke codes. Oh, he's gonna nuke somebody.
12
He had
he's
4 years to do that, but
and 4 nominations for a Nobel Peace Prize because he did something that nobody ever did in the Middle East. Are you kidding?
two
Peace in the Middle East.
incredible,
What?
like
What?
unheard of.
That's what I don't get. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much. It doesn't matter how much somebody does. I could be Mother Teresa right here drinking a beer, and somebody would be like, "Well, that guy drinks too much beer," and all of a sudden I'd be discredited. You know, that's probably one of the reasons why we won't get a whole lot of advertisement on this because we probably drink too much and do too many craps. Whatever the case may be, the craps are large, especially there in Colorado for you, Tommy. But this ain't a family friendly show. If you got your kids around, earmuffs. Um, but
Shouldn't be
so
watching it.
yeah, put it away. This is nighttime watching. This is
Yeah, because we used to
late
have
night.
TV like that. Remember that? They played the raunchier stuff
Mhm,
late at night.
mhm.
I
Well,
remember when that switched
dude,
on TV.
I
It
was
was
gonna
like
say,
I would watch it, be like, this is like prime time on like Thursday or Friday, like, or Thursday or Wednesday night. Like kids are watching this shit. Like you would say that on regular TV.
well, and
What the hell?
that leads me to another point. Anybody
My
can say
beautiful
whatever.
sweater.
Yeah,
Ooh.
besides your beautiful sweater. Um, anybody can say whatever they want regarding fake news and do whatever they want to call it, whatever, coin whatever term you want. Assigning basically assigning authority over to a certain source is something that we all have to do because we don't have the time due to social engineering. But when it's all said and done, um, discernment, right? We haven't been taught how to actually learn. We've just been taught how to regurgitate information. Um, I'm so glad one of the first things I did was, quit college. My brain isn't okay with college. Um, I'm not okay with it. And it was a hard philosophy for me to take to be able to sit there and learn even a single subject from somebody who doesn't have their shit together, right? It doesn't matter what the subject was, and it took me a long time to come to grips with that. But that's what originally got me out of college. And then now I'm sitting there going like, well, you had this idea in your head before you made that decision of that you should be able to learn anything, right? I should be able to learn how to smile from somebody with a disability because I'm not disabled. You know what I mean? Like I should already be happier than that person. And then
Yeah.
this idea of a comparative nature where maybe I shouldn't compare myself to others because I'm not cut from their same cloth, I am my own person. And then all of a sudden introspective, philosophy of individuality came into play. And I just kind of gave you the root structure of what is Eric's philosophy on life. And Eric's philosophy on life is this: basically, don't be a dick, be a dude.
Well,
I don't force anybody to do anything, and I would never trade security for freedom. I would never do it, and I wouldn't expect anybody else to, because you know, my freedom does not stop where your feelings start. Truth doesn't give a damn about your feelings either. Feelings should have nothing to do with any of this other than maybe your family. That's
mhm.
it. I mean, and
Well, and I know you just to go back on
yeah,
what you were talking
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry.
about
I'm sorry.
college, where you didn't, you didn't want to be
I wouldn't
indoctrinated.
say that because I didn't even
No,
know if I was getting
but
indoctrinated or
but
not.
you had a hard time with people telling you what to do and just regurgitating what they were telling you.
I question authority
And
constantly.
and
I have a
and
really hard time
that
with
was,
authority.
that was where, dude, I was incredibly fortunate with going to the small tech school I did.
Yeah.
That teacher I had, man, he was old school. He was able to explain electronics and
And I
electronic
remember
theory
you talking
from the
talking
ground
to me
up
about him.
to
Yeah.
where it was. But he
Yeah.
taught me how to learn, how to teach myself. Because one thing he said is like, I'm gonna teach you all this shit. Basically, in a nutshell, he was very professional. But I'm gonna teach you all of this shit, and
Paraphrase.
in 5 years, it's gonna be irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to know what to look for. You have to continually learn this, because
Yes.
this is tech. Like,
Yeah.
in his 30 years of tech, he saw it shift and shift and mold. I mean, up into the late 90s here.
Mhm.
And so for him to say that, was I really took it to heart, and he really did a good job on teaching us how to teach ourselves, you
Which,
know
you know,
reading
um,
technical material.
and actually, to circle all the way back to before we paused everything, um, if you think about it, this idea of that was Jordan, by the way.
Oh,
Um, yeah, yeah. Producer Jordan just uploaded some videos. So cool, go get them. So the idea of education compared to educated, circling back to this idea of vernacular. When the hell did education become, and even like, in my opinion, there should not be a past tense of education. There should be no educated. It's like it stops. Like, wait, what? Education should never stop.
mhm.
Science should never be settled. You know, education should never stop. You shouldn't say, "Oh no, I'm educated," right? Because if you say you're educated, okay, so you were educated yesterday. What about today? This is the information age. And if you decide that you're educated and have been educated in a certain school, and maybe you continue to, maybe you have a whole PhD, um, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, because you got that PhD for understanding what happened from the point you were certified on that PhD going all the way back. And it's like, oh, okay, so these people understand this. Now, am I saying that in all trades? Absolutely not. I'm not a moron. I'm not going to go to Tom and say, hey, can you perform open heart surgery? The difference is,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do it. Um, give me a chainsaw. Um, no, but the difference is that it's a trade. People seem to think that, like, a doctor has a PhD and all of a sudden it's not a trade. Well,
No,
I've
it's a
worked I've
fucking
worked for
trade. It's
plenty
like,
of I've worked for plenty of doctors who can't, freaking do legitimately anything around their house. I build houses, right? So when I want to get my heart worked on, or my temple, fucking worked on any way, shape, or form,
you go to
yeah,
them.
yeah, when they want their sanctuary, their house worked on, they come to me. And where the hell did that come from? Where all of a sudden one person was better than another, or you're now we're discussing, a two-tiered justice system where I can buy my way because I'm either ridiculously rich, or buy my way out through my network because I'm ridiculously connected, out of even something as minimal as a speeding ticket is too much for me, let
Mhm.
alone pedophilia or anything else like that, right?
All the sick
But
shit. Yeah.
But how many times have you heard stories? Even the old mayor of Denver, as of like 2006, where he got, pulled over drunk driving 3 or 4 different times, and he got let go, even though he hit a couple cars. That stuff irks me. Um, I totally went off subject on that one. It was more of a rant than anything else, but um, yeah. Anyway, we're seeing the bifurcation. I think to bring it back, this idea that and I think Cliff High even had it in his data, where self-learned people compared to college
Indoctrinated people.
educated. I wouldn't call it indoctrinated because it's just it's a hot button issue right there. I mean, as soon as you say that word indoctrinated, people go, "Oh, so they're just going to discredit my $50,000, you know."
I know. I'm not saying you didn't learn some shit, but you were fucking, you know, manipulated like a
Well, so
piece
that's
of clay.
and that's the reason why I say, in my own opinion, in our current system, if you're quote unquote educated, you learned how to regurgitate information because you didn't learn how to learn. And I'm sorry, all you did was remember some shit and you wrote it down on a test. Now, when you get up to like masters and PhD, where you have to write a thesis over the course of years and it has to be peer
Where
reviewed,
where
that's
terminology does exist for a reason because there has to be a standard across the
and
board.
that's the new higher learning. That used to be regular college. When did it morph to that? It used to be that, and you still do in college. I know that you have to have your thesis and whatnot, but if I picked a major back in the day of political science, right, I'd have to write a paper over the course of 4 years, or at least hand that in by the time I was done, and it would have to be in the slightest bit profound, at least a little bit profound, and I would be graded upon that, right? And I would pass, even if it's just a little profound. I might even pass the majority of my classes and just
How long are
go
some
there.
people's thesis? Like how many pages do you think?
It depends, man. I just got into I talk about the guys I work with a lot because I spend a lot of time with them and have a lot of really cool debates.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of really cool debates, and a lot of them are really open-minded and sit on the opposite side of things as I do. And when I say opposite, I mean here's left, right? Here's right, and then here's me way over here, and they're like way over here. So, um, but we still find this. I call it the Pac-Man effect, where I go out one side and we meet
Come
over
out
here,
together, yeah.
and sometimes they do that. So it's the Pac-Man effect. I'll coin the phrase later, but it's recorded here now. Anyway, um, but but yeah, I mean, we were having a conversation regarding one of his friends' theses, and it was all about. We started with this vaccine. The entire thread started with a vaccine, and how it was affecting the horseshoe crab population of the East Coast, because the blood of horseshoe crabs has been utilized for multiple, like at least a decade, maybe two, to create vaccines. There's something in it. It's I want to say it has something to do with the endocrine system and the lack of rejection through yeah, these are a bunch of construction workers talking about the endocrine system of a freaking horseshoe crab and
Yeah,
how it's
right.
utilized in a so we're a bunch of smart cats, but we all have different belief structures, so we get to debate constantly. It's like it's a smorgasbord of assholes is basically all it is. But anyway, we were having that whole conversation, and then it went really political really freaking fast. And before you know it, the guy who originally posted it says, "Yeah, this is the problem with America. We'll take any little thing and turn it political." And he's very ecologically, that's where his mindset is and where he's got his degree and everything else. Um, but his retort was, "That sucks that we have to bring all of this stuff political." And I'm sitting there thinking about it for a second, going, well, maybe we should think about, where we sit in this earth and whether or not we should be able to impact the earth in certain ways. Like, where do we fit in? If if that's just crossing a certain line as far as taking that away, and you're saying that we are impacting it in a negative way. Where do we fall in to just be able to, get what we need in order to survive? I mean, if this pandemic is so big, like you say, and you want me to wear a mask, is it worth the cost of horseshoe crabs? Like, do we as humans, are we supposed to thrive in this thing and do anything we can to survive utilizing Darwin's theory of evolution and be the stronger species and impact the rest of the world? And I went into this whole philosophical debate, and then all of a sudden he goes, so a friend of mine has been writing a PhD paper on this for about 3 years, and the next day I get the conversation is legitimately 2 sentences. It's basically not confirmed, but we're still debating all of this. And I'm sitting there going like, yes, you're still debating it because this is the planet. And you've been taught that, you know, your force on another, let alone another human, on another species is way over the line, but your force on another human is not. Like,
Well, and this is funny too. This is a
and you're doing it for your own gain, right? You want people to not be
well,
sick
actually, in the
and wear a mask.
in the end game, in that particular situation where the horseshoe crab is, they're actually getting their revenge on the population, especially if they're involved with the mRNA vaccines. But one thing I want to talk about too is humans are so fucking vain. They're so fucking vain that they're so so important
Yeah,
that they have this big of an impact on the earth. I'm not saying we haven't done stupid shit and aren't
yeah,
still doing stupid shit when it comes to the environment. Yes,
right,
we do on a regular basis, but we just put it out of sight, out of mind.
right.
I mean, that's why all our fucking electronics are made over in China. All our
Mm,
hard drives are made over in Thailand. Like,
mm,
if there's someplace else and not here, yeah, even though we consume the most of them, that we
mm,
drive that, demand up,
mm.
just because we don't see it doesn't mean we're not still destroying the earth. But we are so fucking vain, man. This is a self-healing planet. If this planet wants to get rid of us, oh, it'll get rid of us. And it will be
Mm.
quick, and it does not care. Nature doesn't give two shits about your fucking, you know, stance, monetarily, politically, whatever. They don't fucking care. Like,
And
nature just does what it does. And you know what?
so
I mean, and herein lies so this is my problem with everybody being so, oh, we got to have this green movement. Fuck you. You think that we are so important? We are more important than nature and the earth itself? No. Unless we fucking drive a nuke into the goddamn center of the earth and blow ourselves up, the earth and the solar system and the universe will get rid of us long before then.
there's plenty of science to
But what's funny about the mRNA vaccine with the horseshoe crabs is what the mRNA, that we had this conversation this
mm,
afternoon about it.
yes, we did.
About basically you're telling all your cells to attack each other and internal organs, so your immune system goes nuts and you die.
Well, it's called autoimmune deficiency syndrome. So
It's
it's
very, very
it's
similar
it's
to that.
manufactured AIDS. I mean, it is legitimately manufactured AIDS. You are
So you get
screwing
the
with your
smallest
DNA.
exposure to the
Yes.
virus now. You get the
Yeah.
smallest exposure to that virus,
Mhm.
and your fucking cells are gonna go nuts. They're gonna go
Well,
insane. They're gonna start attacking everything.
well, and that's, let's not get into that tonight because I can go like deep into the whole CRISPR and how, there's protein isolate, actual, markers that have
Mhm.
been found in the big pandemic disease of today, and they do co-align and coalesce with,
Oh,
the same
with the
marker in
HIV,
AIDS. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And therein lies the
yeah.
problem, though, is that
You
when
need
you
an
create
mRNA
this
vaccine.
mRNA
Yeah,
vaccine where you basically manipulate the
yeah,
messenger RNA cell, that
yeah.
you're not introducing an antibody. You are just saying, hey, this is what this shell looks like. So
Hmm.
this shell comes into the system, it alerts every one of the messenger RNA cells, and they just start attacking.
Hmm.
And that is the problem. They don't have time to
It's
distinguish between the good and the bad.
so let's talk about, GB, right? Big old Microsoft giant, super rich guy from Tides Foundation, right?
Mm.
So GB, I don't say his name for a reason.
And you don't put
Um,
his initials in alphabetical order because, or not
no,
alphabetical order,
no,
but
GB,
in
no, no,
chronological order.
no, because it's on
GB.
his birth certificate. G, comma B. Um,
Hmm.
so, so homeboy gets rich, not through a computer company, but through his
Well, no,
father.
through stealing somebody
No,
else's.
well, but his father was a eugenicist, right?
Yeah,
So then
but
he steals Xerox's idea of,
for the
well,
computer
no,
interface with
well,
the
no,
mouse.
that was Steve Jobs. That was Steve Jobs that
Oh,
stole that.
that.
Yeah, that was Steve Jobs that stole the
I get
Xerox.
those two fuckers mixed up all the time.
That's the boomers.
They're both fucking bad people.
They're both boomers and not the good ones. So
Not the good ones.
no, so all of a sudden go forward, and there's this guy who everybody says, oh, you don't have a degree, you're not college educated, blah blah blah. Well, you know what? Neither is GB. Neither is a lot of these fools. And this guy is going to talk to you about viruses. Well, he's the guy that created for the most part, him and Jobs started the in-home computer, and then created the virus. So you don't think the same idea is applying? You don't think that the idea of vaccinations, especially this mRNA, isn't something that was, just look at the similarities between the original idea of a Trojan horse virus or malware, and what this mRNA is going to do. What happens, Tom? You're a computer guy. What happens to a system when you influence and corrupt the data or the
Well,
directory, even?
herein lies the problem, Sully, is that the solution to the computer viruses were just as obtrusive as the virus itself.
Ooh, and then you can
And in
go,
fact, more obtrusive than the
ooh,
virus itself because they were voluntary. You voluntarily installed this on your system,
terms
and
and
it's
conditions.
basically scanning all. So who's to? I mean, and see, so
And we
this is
call those something sweet like cookies
no. Well,
and
and this is
malware.
we have access to all of your files on your system,
Yep.
remote access, everything else. That virus maybe like let's well, a Trojan obviously is
Yeah.
self-explanatory, self-descriptive.
Hey,
But
I
you
want
look
you
at
to
like,
explain this. I want you to explain this. Continue to roll, please.
are you gonna piss again? No, dude, I can't roll. I can't roll, Sully. Oh.
All right. So it turns out Tom has a hard time being put on the spot. He has a real hard time being put on the spot. Um, so what I'm going to do is we were discussing this idea
No,
of,
no, no.
hey,
I don't have a
hey.
hard time being put on the spot, dude. I had a couple of caps tonight, so I have a hard time focusing.
Hold on one second. Tom can't talk to himself. He's got an ego problem. Um,
An eagle problem? We don't have any eagles out here.
no, we don't have any eagles out here. They made of orange juice. Um,
Oh man. Oh, that's rough.
anyway,
Bro, that's rough.
we're gonna have to end this at some point in time here, real
Oh,
quick. But we are going to upload this.
Real quick.
We're going to upload this to YouTube and almost surely get shut down.
Yeah, see how
But
long that
mm,
lasts.
mm, but I hope people are getting something out of this. And the one thing that I hope everybody gets out of this is, Tom and I will go down multiple different avenues, whether it be computers or anything else. And please go listen to our original podcast, the pilot episode with Jordan, because it explains what this channel is going to do. Um, we haven't got to do what this channel was set out to do because there's so much stuff happening politically, and we've both been studying this for so long, and we've both felt the need where we really got to get this idea out there. But I think, in my opinion, I wanted to start the channel. My own reasons was because I was getting calls, like Brian called earlier. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, but there's a lot of people in my life, that call me for advice, which never happened. I used to be looked at as crazy. So follow that trend. I know Tom is in the same boat. I know that a lot of people are in the same boat right now. One of my favorite guys in the world, that I've only met once but listen to all the time, Robert Beatles, did the same thing. He created his podcast to just talk to all of the people he knew, and he's in crypto and he's in politics. He
God,
likes,
that guy's got a great voice, doesn't he?
dude, I love Beatles. he's
I mean,
he's
he
one of
just
my
has
favorite
his
guys.
and then like not only does he have a great voice, he's got a very calming personality. Like you
Great
look,
demeanor, a great
yeah,
demeanor,
yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah. You look at his demeanor when he's talking. I
Mhm.
he's a guy that should get some. It definitely get some more airtime and talk as much as possible because I think people like that those are the kind of folks that are going to chill people
Well,
out. People
but
like you and I, Sully, we're just going to rile the fuck out of people because we're always just
but but
going
that's
at 110%.
what we were built for, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know I've had a lot of I still have a lot of different projects, right? So I have Kool-Aid going on. You have a bunch of things that you do. I have a full-time job. Beatles the same way. Beatles is operating multiple businesses, and he's well off enough to where he can sit down right now and utilize his time, to put it towards what he wants. And it's not necessarily financial independence. It's just he's put himself into that position, and he feels this calling to go ahead and then go do it.
Well, and then also, yeah, living within your means, whatever those means may be, whatever
Right.
you feel
So,
you
so
can deal with.
again, go listen to the first episode where I start talking about currency and how time is your only currency that you actually get to control. Um, but in or value, by the way, you are your own exchange. So, speaking of Beatles, but anyway, I think that, you know, in this episode, I want to really convey this thing that I always do, which is called optimism. It's not that I'm super optimistic about the rest of the world, and how the world is going to go, and we're going to get into some fights and we're going to get into some scraps, but I've noticed over the last 4 years, people are starting to take responsibility for themselves. And I think that's the great awakening is, hey, maybe I'm not in shape enough to really handle myself if I went to a protest, or maybe I don't have the money to even drive to a protest. Maybe I don't have a good enough education to hang with the people I'm trying to, um, you know, debate with. and and I think that's the number one thing, is that if you consider yourself and your opinions important, you better continually try to improve on yourself and your mindset and your heart, right? You got to get all of that stuff together. And in my opinion, that's the biggest part of the Great Awakening, is this idea of individuality. If you can't count on anybody else, um, and if your family is counting on you,
Mhm.
you better continually, every single day, try to improve in one way, shape, or form. You have to, at least one day or every day, just one thing, try to improve yourself and your situation. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's politically. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast. We're not doing this
And
podcast because we want to be famous. We already had that shot.
Yeah,
We
we
already
already
did
had that fun. It's like,
we already
and the
did
thing
that
was is,
deal.
I think it would
I've
come to
had
a
more.
point where
What's that?
being famous is way over fucking rated. Like,
Well, look at those assholes, Pizzagate. Um,
mm.
so no, but what I'm saying is, feel if there's one moral to this entire story, in my
Oh, you need
opinion,
to better yourself and become stronger.
yeah,
That's the one thing, and that's, dude, I'm having
but
a hard time myself just with the constant barrage
yeah,
of of not facts or the constant barrage of chaos in the media, like on both sides. They're really throwing it out there hard, man.
yeah,
So to try to figure out and formulate some
discernment.
sort of and devise some sort of a plan,
Right.
during all the craziness and when all this shit is done, is it's fucking difficult. And I'm trying to quit. I'm not even trying to quit smoking. I'm trying to cut down. I'm trying to come to terms with that. I actually want to quit smoking. So
Trying to come
and
to terms with this
yeah, like
bullshit.
I'm not saying like I'm gonna go cold turkey about I ain't quitting anytime soon, but I'm actually coming to terms with the fact that I'm gonna have to quit smoking. And same with maybe cutting down the drinking to maybe just a bottle of wine a night, something.
Just
Yeah,
good for
just I
you.
mean,
It's good for
dude, it's
you.
easy to pound through. I mean, dude, when you look at how much that we've drank since we were basically of age to drink, and how much we've cut
Well,
down since then.
I, I tell people this all the time. My wife really hates it when I say it. Um, but when you continually show like that, you're like, oh no, that's bullshit, and then all of a sudden it proves to be bullshit, or oh, that's the truth right over there, but they won't say it, and then that proves to be true, right? So there's this trending thing that happens, temporal marker points, no matter how micro or macro. Um, and you're just trending in the right direction regarding, hey puppy. um, so you're trending in the right direction regarding being some sort of authority figure as it pertains to information or dissemination of information or whatever, right? Opinion, we can call it.
Hmm.
There's this thing where I tell people I work with that don't see things with me eye to eye. I say, you want to know why I drink so much? Because I've been doing this for 20 years. Now, all of a sudden, as soon as you wear a mask, you fucking think the world's been out of whack? Like, I've been wearing a mask for 20 fucking years, bro. You
Dude,
know,
it's really the case, man, where it's like,
yeah. And now you know
you
why
know
I
how
drink. I've been
you
wearing
know
a
how
mask for
much I've just
20
been going
fucking
like,
years.
mm.
Hmm.
And this is why I got down after the sixth because I was hoping for something big, hoping for something big, like really big.
And you ain't getting
Not
it. You
not
ain't
yeah,
getting it.
I was hoping for like
Mm.
fucking UFO or some shit like that, like something
Give
really,
me something.
really, give me something big.
Yeah. Yeah.
none of this none of this watered down bullshit.
I want to clean myself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Okay. Should purify ourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Well, you can't
Um,
say that without a nice shirt. Blouses.
game blouses.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but I was hoping for something big in that
Mhm.
point. The next day uh, I was a little bit bummed out.
Downtrodden.
Um, I don't even know where I was going with this.
Mm. You know where you're going? We're going out,
Nowhere.
and then we're going on to the next one. I'm actually going to upload this though, everybody. Um, Tom,
Just raw, unedited.
just raw, unedited. I'm even gonna,
Oh, it's rough.
like there's a couple of piss breaks in there. That's gonna happen. Probably
Piss
ain't gonna,
break.
probably ain't ever like. Are we exemplifying the movement? Most likely not. Didn't ask to be, but I hope the information is what's there. If there's one thing that Eminem taught us, it's that we should probably be real and destroy ourselves before anybody else can, because the information we're putting out is most likely going to destroy us anyway. And they're going to want to just, the powers that be are going to want to just fuck us up. So we might as well do it first. So, um, Tom's got great hair.
I do.
You know,
I
you know,
do.
I wish I had a bigger dick. Um,
Me too.
so,
Me too.
well, cheers to that, Tom. Cheers. Cheers to that. So, all y'all out there, um, I say y'all now because I live in the South. Um, I hope you guys understand that you can contact me anytime you want at ERICRYPTO. DMs are open. Tell me I'm an asshole. I've gotten multiple. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten emails that tell me I'm a fascist. Um, and I read every one and reply. I don't care. Fucking tell
I
me.
read all those fan emails.
Yeah, dude, I'll send them to you. It's hilarious. There was actually somebody, I don't even know. They must have started this email from a website they created. It probably cost them $1 to send me this email, right? But it came from something like eatmyass.com. They legit set up. I can't remember. I'm going to send you the email, whatever it was, but they had to set up unless this is something they normally troll from. It could be an awesome bot. If a bot is programmed like that, I want to meet the programmer because that's amazing. But anyway, everybody listening to this, you should absolutely be encouraged. And I wish we would have got to this a lot more. But you should be encouraged in multiple facts. You wouldn't be silenced unless you were speaking the truth. You would not be feeling down. And this is hard truth, honesty. You wouldn't be feeling down unless you were solid in yourself and knowing that this movement doesn't stop at any given time, and it's going to keep rolling through. And that stems from the original Tea Party, the throwing tea overboard the ships,
What was that?
doing the
Was that a
actual
point oh
revolution.
three or was that 0.3
What do you mean?
percent tax and tariff increase?
Yeah, it was like point 0.3.
Point
It's
three
point 0.3 tariff increase. Tariff.
tariff increase.
Because there was no such thing as
There were
taxes.
no fucking taxes,
Yeah.
no income taxes back then, not
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 1865 was the
So we
beginning.
had, and that's all that drives me nuts.
Mm.
Revolution over a 0.3 increase in tariffs.
Well, and think about it. Again, let's go over those quick facts real quick. Um, 75 million, whether it's provable, 75 million people voted for Trump. I'm not saying they voted for liberty because there's a lot of people that voted for him just because they were fed up, right?
Yeah.
So we can say that logically go over the numbers, right? So that is 1/4 of the country. 300 million, 330. You're looking at 75 to 78 million. You're looking at a quarter of the country. 75 times 4, 300.
It's 350, right?
75,
No,
70.
70. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. I'm wrong.
of course, dude.
I'm like, I had a cap, bro. I just,
Boomers. I do construction. Go ahead. So anyway, um, you're looking at a quarter of your countrymen voted for a guy who may or may not agree. So let's break that down. Let's take a half of a quarter is an 8.125. 125, right? Um, let's just say that
twelve and a half
0.12,
percent.
what's that? 12.5%. Yeah. Let's say 12.5% of this country voted for Trump due to freedoms they felt infringed upon. And then just to be safe, let's cut that into another quarter, right? And then you have 3+%. Guess what happened when America freed itself from Britain?
Oh,
You
3%.
needed 3%.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that that's the magical equation, and I'm not trying to lie with statistics. I'm not trying to say. I'm just saying like conservative estimate, knowing what just happened at the Capitol when not only it got broken into, but all of a sudden a political figure said, "Hey, get out of there," and all of a sudden they left and never to return. Like they didn't come back the next day and start going back into it. They
Yeah,
didn't.
I would have been like,
What the hell?
Mongolian.
So I've never been the type of person to say, hey, you should listen to that one figure in American history. I do not like the centralization of power. And anybody who could ever say, hey, guy, don't break into the Congress anymore. And all of a sudden everybody leaves. No, they didn't align with him because they liked his hair or his, even most of them probably don't even know his policies. Um, they did it because of what he was against and what he was for, and it's respectable. It's something to be looked at as a something to learn from. It's just something to learn from, whether you believe in it or not. He Everybody walked. It wasn't like Chaz. So anyway, Tommy, it's always fun to have these conversations. I wish we
Fuck
can do
yeah,
them.
man.
I wish we could do them in person because we used to do it all the time, like every night, talk about this
Yeah,
shit
man. I
and drink.
miss
And that's probably
hanging
why
out.
we're always drinking and doing that, live on air and whatever we can do. But anyway,
No,
y'all, I hope y'all
always a
enjoy it.
pleasure.
Yeah, and I hope people. Oh shit! If you have any questions, if you need any, advice or anything, fuck, just
Or if
email
you
me.
have any information that you want to throw out,
Information, yeah, throw it out. Throw it out. I'm more than
you
willing to
know,
sift through tons of information.
I already have been doing that in the first place, so might as well keep going with it. And if
Yeah,
I mean, and we're not looking for bullshit, not and we're not looking at bullshit. A
no,
lot of the
it's gonna
stuff,
be pretty easy to figure out what you're
everything we
doing.
talk about, we pretty much verify and watch firsthand. Like today's
Hmm.
Twitter purge. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Speaking of which, my folks are trying to call me, so I bet you that's about that.
Later.
Oh, I'll talk to you later, bro.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, let them know they got
I
nothing to
will.
worry about.
I will. All
All
right.
right, brother.